In this video, I'm going to go through Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, scene by scene, and point out any vehicles and or locations that have not been released as LEGO sets as of summer 2020. I'll also point out sets that have been released to demonstrate how LEGO prioritizes which element of the films are deemed worthy of production. Without further ado, let's get into the list. The first ship we see in the Star Wars universe is the Tantive 4. LEGO has created this ship on multiple occasions in multiple scales, including an Ultimate Collector Series version. In the same opening scene, we get our first glimpse at an Imperial Star Destroyer. Similar to Tantive 4, this ship has been done and redone in LEGO many times. It even has two Ultimate Collector Series releases, the most recent one coming in 2019. Here's our first missing scene, and something that will be a common thread throughout this video. While LEGO is great at producing and sometimes overproducing all the ships in the Star Wars universe, there is little to no attention paid to specific locations that would make for great playsets. And that's true for Darth Vader's boarding of the Tantive 4. I love this scene so much, and it's very difficult to recreate it with any of the Tantive 4 sets that we've gotten in the past. I would love to see a diorama style set depicting the hull of the Tantive 4 where the stormtroopers burst through and engage in a blaster battle with the rebel troopers on board. From a minifigure perspective, a set like this could include Darth Vader, of course, as well as some stormtroopers and rebel troopers, maybe two of each, and a more unique figure like one of the Imperial officers in black, or U-3PO, would be kind of neat. You may be asking, what about Princess Leia, R2-D2, and C-3PO? That's a good question, and that brings us to our next scene. I like the idea of Leia's message being a companion set to Darth Vader's boarding, something akin to Jabba's palace and the Rancor pit from a few years ago. The minifigs here would include Princess Leia, obviously, R2-D2, C-3PO, and maybe another rebel trooper to throw in the mix. We've gotten the escape pod in multiple sets, and it's got to be one of my least favorite repeated sets. I don't really want this thing released anymore. The SANDCRAWLER has also been produced multiple times, including an impressive Ultimate Collector Series version a few years ago. I don't really know how you can do this ship more times than they've done, but you know, you never know. The Imperial Shuttle has maybe 10 seconds of screen time, yet it has produced multiple times by LEGO. I'm sure that LEGO has done some research that ships sell better than playsets, but examples like this are really what make me question why we need multiple iterations of the same ship when big scenes and locations have never been attempted. Speaking of never been attempted, this has to be one of the biggest missing sets from Episode 4, Luke's Moisture Farm. There are so many awesome scenes, like the original discovery of Leia's message, to the dinner table discussion where Luke pours himself a glass of blue milk, and many more in between. It would probably be difficult to capture the interior and exterior of this humble abode, not to mention the most of it is underground, but I imagine it could be a slightly larger set than Obi-Wan's hut that was just recently released. Create the exterior on one side and use the other side of the set for the interior details. Minifigs would include R2-D2, maybe in an exclusive dirty print, C-3PO, Luke, Uncle Owen, and the never-before-released Aunt Beru. This next ship perplexes me, and I had to do a lot of research about it. I thought I just missed it in a major battle scene, but the only time the Skyhopper appears in Episode 4 is when Luke is playing around with a model of one in his bedroom. Yep, that little scene was enough for LEGO to create two of these things. And you have to ask why. Onto one of the most reiterated ships in all of LEGO's lineup, Luke's LANDSPEEDER. I don't know why LEGO has such a love affair with this vehicle. Sure, it's cool, and they have released nearly the same vehicle, this thing 7 times, and I'm shocked it's never gotten the Ultimate Collector Series treatment. LEGO, please stop re-releasing this thing. I think we have enough of them by now. Here's a bright spot on our list, Obi-Wan's hut, that was just recently released and perhaps serves as a sign that LEGO might start focusing more on playsets in the future. There will be a lot of scenes on this list that were released as part of the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star, but I'm counting them as missing because they haven't had a standalone release. One of them is what I'll call the War Room, or the Round Table, where all the high-ranking officers meet to discuss battle plans. Honestly, this would probably make a pretty lame set. There's not much action that takes place here, but that's really not the purpose of this list. I would expect this set to include Tarkin, Vader, and definitely that officer Vader chokes. I think his name is Admiral Modi. Same as the War Room, the prison block is technically captured in the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star, but I think it deserves a standalone release. We will return to this area later in the film, and it's where our heroes all meet for the first time. Not to mention the sweet blaster fight that ensues and the narrow escape into the trash compactor. Keep that in mind for later. From a minifig perspective, we would need some Imperial officers, Stormtroopers, Leia, Luke, Han, and Chewie. Back to Tatooine, and a location that needs little introduction, the Mos Eisley Cantina. This is one of the most reproduced location-based sets from Episode 4, and rightfully so. However, the community, myself included, has been hoping LEGO will release a Ultimate Collector Series version of the Cantina, maybe similar in scale to the Cloud City that came out a couple years ago. This would be a perfect opportunity to get more of the patrons of the Cantina like Pondo Baba and Dr. Evazan. I probably butchered those names. These are two of the most memorable creatures to me, and it shocks me they've never been released before in LEGO form. There would be the obvious cast as well: Luke, Obi-Wan, Han, Chewie, and Greedo, probably some stormtroopers to station outside as well. While we're on the topic of the Cantina, the hangar right outside the Cantina with the Millennium Falcon is docked, has never been given the LEGO treatment. I think this would be a nice thing to include in the Ultimate Collector Series version of the Cantina I just discussed. I wouldn't expect it to include a proper Millennium Falcon, but Cloud City did include a Slave 1, so I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility. For minifigs, there are plenty of bounty hunters to choose from, but two figures I would love to see in particular include Long Snoot, who has never been done in LEGO before, and some kind of nod to the original Jabba the Hutt from the original deleted scene. I think that would be a really nice touch. Of course, in the most ISLEY hangar is our first glimpse of one of the most re-released ships in all of LEGO Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon. With two Ultimate Collector Series versions in every scale imaginable in between, I don't think we need any more versions of the ship, but of course, we are guaranteed to keep getting them. Our first good look at the Death Star comes at 57 minutes, and this iconic battle station has been recreated in LEGO in the form of two nearly identical Ultimate Collector Series sets. The one thing that we haven't gotten is a clean exterior view of the Death Star, something akin to the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star 2. It's always difficult for LEGO to pull off a round shape, so maybe this isn't something we should really ask for. I really like how LEGO depicted the destruction of Alderaan in the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star, so just cleaning up what has already been created here in a standalone set would be really nice. While we've gotten tons of Millennium Falcons, we've never gotten a smaller interior section of the ship. I'm calling this the Millennium Falcon Galley, but that's probably the wrong name for it. It's where our heroes spend a lot of their time in this movie and others when they're aboard the Falcon. It'd be just kind of nice to get this in a small standalone set. We get our first good look at a TIE fighter at 1 hour 3 minutes, and this ship, like most others on this list, has been released many times by LEGO, including two Ultimate Collector Series releases. Admittedly, this would be a very difficult location to recreate in LEGO, but we've never gotten a proper Death Star hangar in LEGO form. The Ultimate Collector Series Death Star recreated the hangar in a pretty crude way, but I think it deserves more than this. Another missing scene, what I'm calling the Death Star communications room. There's a nice bit of action that takes place in here, and I like the red coloring of all the walls. I think that would translate well to a LEGO set. This is less of a scene and more of a general location. A lot of moments take place in the corridors of the Death Star, and there isn't a great set that allows you to recreate these scenes with your LEGO minifigs. Remember when I mentioned the Death Star prison block earlier in this video? Well, here is the companion set of the Death Star trash compactor. This is one of the most memorable scenes from the movie, at least for me, and it shocks me it's never received a standalone set release. It did come out as a promotional set for a convention, but I'm not counting that one. It would be awesome to be able to attach this set to the prison block to recreate the escape down that trash chute. I don't think I would have included this scene if it wasn't already released by LEGO. It's not an action-packed scene at all, and it actually makes me feel better about all the mundane locations I've mentioned in this long list. Another recent release, and really the epitome of what I'm after here with a lot of these playsets I've mentioned, the Death Star grappling hook swing is perfectly captured here in LEGO. I wish it were just a bit bigger. I think it was actually represented a little bit better in the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star. Depending on when you grew up, this is either the most epic or the most lethargic lightsaber battle in Star Wars history, maybe a little bit of both. And aside from a nod in the Ultimate Collector Series Death Star, we haven't gotten this scene in a standalone set. But of all the missing sets I've mentioned in this video, I'm the most confident that this scene will be released in the next few years, in the same vein as the Battle of Starkiller Base and the Battle of Mustafar. Finally, we're off the Death Star, and our next missing set finds us at the base on Yavin 4. For as much time is spent here, I'm surprised these scenes have never been represented in LEGO sets. Arguably, there is not a lot of action, they are pretty much watching the action, but these rooms within the base are so cool looking that they really deserve the LEGO treatment. I like the large table that Leia and Jan Dodonna peer over to get a sense of the battle that is taking place. I have a good feeling that LEGO would litter this sets with lots of stickers, but hopefully we would get a few printed pieces in the mix as well. The same glimpse of Yavin 4 also gives us our first good look at an X-Wing. This set has been made and remade plenty of times, including two Ultimate Collector Series sets. In the same scene, we see a Y-Wing as well, and just like the X-Wings and TIE Fighters, these account for some of the most printed sets in LEGO Star Wars lineup. Here's one that surprised me as I put this list together. We have never gotten a LEGO set depicting the iconic trench run. Of course, you could recreate this with your NT, X-Wing, and TIE Fighter, but something like the recent May the 4th promo set of the Death Star 2 trench run is more what I'm looking for. I think it would need to be microscale, maybe something akin to the Avengers helicarrier. Side note, I would love some microscale Star Wars figs. During the final Death Star battle, we also see Darth Vader's TIE Advanced Fighter for the first time. This set has only been released a few times, and of all the ships from this movie, I think this is the only one I would be in favor of seeing released again. Here we are, the final scene of the movie, the celebration on Yavin 4. We've received a few custom minifigures of Han and Luke over the years, but it would be nice to see a proper playset to act as a backdrop for the scene. It would also provide an opportunity to get an exclusive Leia fig in her ceremonial gown. Well, that was the entire list. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my ideas, or if I missed any scenes within the Episode 4 movie. If you want more content like this, I highly recommend subscribing. You can also check out our podcast. Just search for Toy Talk Guys in your podcast app of choice, or click the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.